Hi, everybody. Welcome to our new KFAM live broadcast.
Hi, everyone. So glad you could join us if you're on. So I guess first things first, we should probably do some introductions. Why don't you start, Jennifer?
Yeah. Hi, my name is Jennifer O. I'm the Deputy Director here at KFAM. I'm also a licensed clinical social worker. At KFAM, I wear many hats, but I do mostly internal operations, support our programs, and I do a little bit of clinical supervision for our staff as well. And I do a lot of different stuff.
Sometimes IT.
Sometimes IT, which I should not be in charge of IT sometimes, I think. But I have been with KFAM since 2012. I started working here as a DV project manager with one grant project. And then here I am today, over helping Catherine, our executive director, overseeing KFAM.
So I'm Shayna Lee. I'm the development manager here at KFAM. So development manager, I guess I kind of wear different hats as well in that sense, in that our team helps create events, fundraising events, also community events. We're also in charge of making sure KFAM's name gets out into the public, the community knows about what we're doing. We work with community partners like Natural History Museum and California Science Center. We're also the masterminds behind our social media. So if you know, you know.
If you check it out, you'll see a lot of Shayna.
So kind of a gist of what we do. And I've been here at KFAM since 2021.
Great.
So I guess let's talk about why are we even doing a YouTube live series? I know we have a lot of stuff that we already do on the daily, and so to kind of give you a little backstory of why we wanted to start this series is because we have such a wealth of knowledge here at KFAM, and so we are only able to serve currently the people that come to us in Southern California, basically Koreatown. But we wanted to be able to share that information with people that aren't able to visit us here in Koreatown.
Right. A lot of our staff, especially our direct service staff, are master's level therapists and other positions, and they also come with a lot years of experience, and we'll talk a little bit more about KFAM and how we operate, but we did want to have a greater reach. We do get calls from across the country in different states about resources, and so we thought this would be a good way to answer some of those questions here.
So a couple logistical things we'll need to go over. I'm in development, so I'm all about logistics, but just one a little caveat, we are not professionals.
No.
We do not do this for a living. We are not influencers, so it may get awkward sometimes. There may be some technical difficulties maybe, but we'll get through it. Hopefully we'll get better with each show. And also, please feel free to ask questions anytime. We are keeping a track of the chat room. You can ask the questions in Korean or English. We are both bilingual, so no worries there. Also, future live streams can be either in Korean or English. It depends on the guest speaker. So Jennifer will be handling the Korean speaking guests, and I'll be handling the English speaking guests. So also, don't worry if you can't join our live streams. The videos will be posted on our YouTube channel, which is KFAM TV, after the stream, and it'll have captions. So logistics out of the way. Let's get into the important stuff. Why don't we share a little bit about the history of KFAM?
Sure. So who are we, right? So KFAM, we've started in 1983. This is our 42nd
42nd.
Good. Not the math person here, right? 42nd year. We've always been here in Koreatown, and we've started from actually an idea developed with the first female Korean attorney from Korea, Dr. Taeyoung Lee. She came and visited in the 80s and met a lot of domestic violence victims, mostly women and children who were suffering, and decided that there needed to be a hub where they are receiving services on a more, I guess, logistics and professional way. And so we've been around, and over the years, we've really grown and expanded our services. Every year, we serve about, over 10,000 community members through our entire different services that we provide here at KFAM. And our mission really, truly is to empower and strengthen API and Korean immigrant families, as well as individuals, to live a healthy and fulfilling life. So that's why we're here, and that's why we're doing this live, and that's a little bit about KFAM.
Yeah, I think also we really focus on family. I think that's important to KFAM is healthy individuals create healthy families, and so that's what we are all about, basically. Yeah. So let's talk about our departments then. So we have 4 major departments within KFAM. I'll kind of start with the first one, our newest one. Newest as in created in 2014. So, so our first department is our AFFI, which currently stands for Asian Adoption and Foster Family Initiative. Originally, it started as the Asian Foster Family Initiative, which a lot of people probably know us as. So again, we started in 2014. And I think that grew out of a need because there was... we found out that there were Korean children within the foster care system. And unfortunately, at that time, there were no Korean foster families. And so these children were going into other ethnicity families, which can create another set of trauma other than just being taken away from their family as well. So we created AFFI to fill in that need, basically. And so AFFI has, I guess social workers is probably the best way. Yes. Social workers that work with DCFS, and we try and match these foster children to at least the same API ethnicity as their birth families, so that it'll lessen a little bit of that trauma of entering into the foster care system. And so, yeah, that's kind of like we recruit, we train families to become those resource families. It does take a lot of time and effort to become a foster, or what we call resource families.
Right.
So
one thing really unique about our program is that we are the first and still the only licensed foster and adoption agency in the entire United States that solely focus on API children and only work with API children. So it's not a huge operation, but it is such an important operation to really minimize that level of trauma that they're experiencing as the family is going through just various circumstances that's, having them live apart.
Yeah. And then finally, in 2022, after a long application process, we finally became a licensed adoption agency as well. So we're able to help families go from foster to adoption is our main goal currently. Of course, I think we would like to expand on that. We have done some.
We do. We have done, and we are really trying to expand our private adoption area in the domestic adoption for now. We are licensed to do international adoption, but that, programs take time to really fully develop. So, we are working with actually a lot of birth families, birth moms, as just an option for them if they decide to put their child up for adoption. We want, a lot of times they want the children to go to the similar ethnic family, if they're going to be adopted. So that's where we come in a lot of times.
Yeah. So did I miss anything on AFFI?
No.
Okay. So then why don't we start with our oldest department, one you're familiar with, gender-based violence, I guess.
Sure. So now the department is currently called gender-based violence. We renamed it a few years back, but it was originally domestic violence department when I was first started. And for the gender-based violence department, there are advocates and therapists, so mental health therapists who work on providing therapy trauma, also mainly providing resources and case management services for victims of crime, gender-based violence, and they walk through them. Just a lot of times they come in when it's in the middle of the crisis. So walking them through maybe perhaps restraining order, putting them in a safe shelter or temporary housing, all the way to when they are about to be independent, helping them find jobs, helping them apply to schools to gain a trade or a skill, the whole entire walk of their kind of finding healthiness in their life, right? And so, and the gender-based violence, for those of you who are not familiar with that term, it encompasses just any types of violence that exist because of the gender differences, whether it's domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking. We also have in the past work, and still do, work with North Korean refugees as well. And so this is kind of the broad, and I would say this is the core program of KFAM. And I think if I have to highlight like one unique thing about this program or department is that we work with faith leaders. And we train over, hundreds of faith leaders each year on domestic violence and sexual assault so that they can provide the appropriate response to when a crisis happens in their home. Because a lot of times they tend to be the first responders, and the immigrant community church leaders tend to be.
Yeah, I guess that's something that people don't realize, that, those people are first responders. It's not only just police or firefighters, which, is important as well. But I think also, a lot of this gender-based violence also came when during COVID, when Asian hate was really high, and so people, regardless of gender, were being attacked, and so that's why a little bit more of the name change as well came about. So we do have a question here. If you want to ask, or I guess reiterate the question.
Sure. This question was actually it's in Korean, but I'll just translate it in English or translate it.
You can, since they asked it in Korean, why don't we answer it in Korean?
Okay, sure. 입양하려면 미국 어디에서 가능한가요? 미국 어디에서나 가능한가요? 네, 그 입양은 미국 어디에서나 가능한데 그 주마다 이제 조금 법이 다르기 때문에 그런 거를 조금 뭐라고 그래야 되나? navigate 할 때는 이제 그 조금 시간이 걸릴 수도 있어요. 예. 그렇지만 뭐 할 수 없는 일은 아니고요. 그건 충분히 할 수 있는 일이고 궁금하신 거 있으시면 저희한테 연락 주시면은 도와드리겠습니다.
So I guess for English speakers, the question was if they wanted to adopt, where in the U.S. could they adopt, or where is it possible? And we are licensed for the whole United States, but right now we are focusing just in California. It will take time for us to expand because there are different laws, there are different rules of adoption between states. So that it will take some time for us to get there, but we hope to get there soon.
And then we have one other question. 현재 타주에 살고 있는데 여기 KFAM에서 상담할 수 있나요? 일단은 타주에 살고 계시면은 심리 상담은 불가능하다고 보시면 됩니다. 그 이유는 그 상담하시는 선생님들이 그 practice insurance도 있고 또 이제 licensure 그 주마다 해당되는 라이센스가 있기 때문에 그런 부분에서는 못 하시는데 만약에 가정 폭력이나 뭐 이런 다른 폭력 피해자 분이시면은 그런 부분에서 상담은 받으실 수 있으십니다. 그래서 만약에 폭력 피해자이신 분이 타주에 사시면은 언제든지 연락하셔서 저희가 도와드릴 수는 있고요. 심리 상담은 조금 저희가 까다로운 그런 법 부분 때문에 까다롭긴 합니다. 네.
Do you want to explain that in English? Because I
Yeah, okay. So the question was that for people who are living outside of California, can they receive therapy services? Now, in Korean, it says 상담, which is, it can translate into counseling or therapy. It could kind of has a different nuance. So the answer is for mental health therapy services with the mental health therapist. It's actually not allowed because our staff is licensed here in the state of California, insurance, malpractice insurance coverage, etc. That's only covers within California. However, if you are a victim of crime or especially gender-based violence victims, victim counseling and support services can be provided. And so, you are more than welcome to call us. We do have a 24-hour domestic violence hotline that we do get calls from out of state, regularly. So please give us a call. And even if we can't, we're more than happy to look up resources in your area for you.
Looks like we have another question.
This is a follow-up question about adoption. So 연락은 어떻게 드리면 되는지요? 전화와 이메일 드리면 되나요?
I think this might be best if we shared our website. So we'll put that in the chat. And all of our programs are on our website, so you can take a look and see. There's all our contact information there as well. So we'll put that in the chat.
Yes. That's great. All right, should we keep going?
Yeah, let's keep going. So next, we're going to talk about our child and adult wellness program, our department. So I guess this department was created so that we could help equip our community members with the tools, resources, and support to help enhance their quality of life. So what does that mean, though? That's like so broad and general. So I guess anything that can help people live a more healthier and just happier life, I guess, to put it simply. So in the past, we've done like senior yoga. I don't think we do that anymore, but in the past, we have done something like that. And then there are currently two major programs under our child and adult wellness program, department, which the first is our child care food program. So this basically, our staff work with hundreds of daycare centers, home centers within Los Angeles County and Orange County. And they help to educate and provide healthy foods based on USDA, what USDA considers healthy foods. And so, basically we help feed about over 3,000 kids, I would say, daily throughout Southern California. So that's their main duty. Anything? No? Okay. And then the second program under Child and Adult Wellness is our Substance Abuse Prevention and Control Program. So basically, this team would go out and work with local organizations and schools to kind of increase awareness and help prevent the use of alcohol and marijuana, basically, in adolescents. So.
And other substances. I think our main target is alcohol and marijuana. However,
I know fentanyl is really bad right
like right now the fentanyl is very popular. Well, I shouldn't say popular. It's
a big problem.
It's a big problem. But it's across the board. It's just a program that really targets on combating the substance abuse and educating the community and also preventing. Our target is with youth and as well as parents of youth because, for prevention work, folks in the prevention work, we always talk about how it's an environmental change. So it's about changing the environment of your family and about your school system with your friend environment, your church, whatnot, right? So it's about educating people and changing the environment that leads to a prevention of substance abuse. So
yeah.
yeah.
Looks like we have a question again about adoption.
So 영주권자도 입양을 할 수 있나요? 영주권자가 입양을 하면 아이의 신분은 어떻게 되나요? This question is asking if you're a green card holder or permanent resident of U.S., can you adopt, and what happens if the child is to the birth. What is the word? Birthright? No. The immigrant.
I guess so. What the status of the child is.
The status of the child. This is a very, very specific questions, which I think we should email directly to our program. I don't want to give out wrong information. I have an idea, but I don't want to put it out there. So 이거 질문은 조금 더 구체적인 거라서 저희 KFAM 프로그램, AFFI 프로그램 직접 이메일 해주시면은 저희가 답변해드리겠습니다.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people are really have a lot of questions about adoption and foster care. So we do plan on going really in depth with our departments in future live sessions. So don't worry, we will have one designated for our AFFI department. So stay tuned for that.
Yes.
Okay. So then why don't we move on to mental health?
Yeah. So mental health is I would say, the next longest running program here at KFAM. All of our therapists who work with our clients are master's level, either currently in school or have graduated already. We serve ages all the way from like 3-4 all the way to 65 plus. Most of our clients are Korean, but we don't turn anyone away. So we do have clients who are non-Korean, and the length of, the length of therapy can vary depending on the issue or the availability of our funds. We do, depending on the case, short-term pro bono free services, to different programs and grants we have allow you to receive services for no cost. Even if you don't qualify, our sliding fee scale is very affordable. And so it's an easy option for anybody who would like to receive some services around mental health.
Yeah. Okay, so then those are our departments. Again, like I mentioned, we will be going in more in depth on different topics for those departments or about the department itself. So stay tuned. But why don't we move on next to why are we API focused? Because I know it might be just easier to just be more generalized, I guess. But if you could share like what communities we work with first?
So main community that we work with is, I think, obviously it's Korean, Korean Americans, Korean immigrants. It could be someone who just immigrated all the way to second generation Korean American immigrants. Also Chinese community, as well as Filipino and Vietnamese community. Those are kind of the
I would say those are our main. So then what challenges do you see working with those kind of communities?
Yeah, I think especially with, the whole stigma, right? The culturally API communities, mental health is still something that is very difficult for people to talk about or to ask for help. And so, that's always the challenge, is that clients don't always seek services when it's like a small cut, right? They wait until it's like a major surgery is needed. And so a lot of times that's the challenge, is they come at a place that's very difficult. And, there's one question that just came in, which is a really good one for this topic, is what languages do the counseling services get provided? 상담은 어떤 language로 provide 되나요? All of our therapists are bilingual, Korean and English. Some of them, their Korean is much better than mine. So it'll be even smoother. And so all of our staff understand the culture. They understand the language to really enhance the treatment services.
Yeah. I think a great example would be one of my friends recently told me that she is having therapy sessions, but the therapist is not API. She is. And so every time she explained something about her family, she had to stop and then explain to her therapist what the background was of that. So it kind of makes the therapy go longer because she's having to constantly make sure that the therapist understands what that back meaning is. So I think that helps a little bit in the overall process.
Yeah. So even clients who are English speaking, they were born and raised in US, they still come here because they grew up in a Korean home, right? So they know certain words don't translate well in English. So then they want to have their therapist to be able to understand it when they say certain word, and they don't have to try to explain what that is, right? And I think there's one question we kind of skipped.
So there is a question. It says, from Summer, my parents don't have a visa. Is there someone we can talk to about this? Unfortunately, we don't provide any services that have to do with immigration or visas or anything such like that. I don't know if we have any other resources that we could...
depending on what the issue is, we do have a free legal clinic, but it's for family law and... immigration, but it's tied to the gender-based violence piece. So if you're a domestic violence victim and a visa issue or documentation is an issue as part of that, there are free legal services consultation that we partner with our legal aid that comes once a week. But if there's other issues in terms of, your status is not a prerequisite to coming and receiving therapy services here, or any resources in terms of if you're a victim and needs practical resources and living, those you don't need to have a visa or anything like that. So please give us a call. Our front desk staff are lovely, lovely people. They would be more than happy to answer all of your questions. And speaking of staff, I do want to say one more thing about challenges is that, we're running out of time, but I'll make it really quick, is that, as much as stigma is there, people don't necessarily want to be in this field either. Mental health therapy is getting a little more popular, but, we're still in a very Korean dominant community. Your parents want you to be a doctor, lawyer, or a businessman, right? So being a therapist, a social worker, I'm a social worker, right? So,
not very popular.
It's not popular. So finding staff is also a qualified therapist and social workers is also always a challenge too. But anyways,
But I did want to mention, I guess just overall with KFAM is, it's kind of bad to say though, but we're a one-stop shop almost, in that we all work together. All the departments can work together to help one family, whatever their situation is. And so I think that's one great thing, is you don't have to go to different agencies to get different services. So I think that's one thing that makes us unique compared to other organizations.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so I think we're almost out of time. But I did want to thank you so much for everyone that asked questions and...
we answered everything.
Okay. And joined us today. It's our first one, so it was a little nerve-wracking for us. So hopefully it didn't show on camera. But I did want to let everyone know that we will be having our live streams every last Wednesday of the month at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Next month, we're going to be talking with one of our mental health therapists about anxiety and how to cope with it. I know there's probably a lot of anxiety going around. So we definitely want to talk about that. And so, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, so please like and subscribe.
We have to say
Yeah.
it. I mean,
Is it like and subscribe?
Sorry.
Click. I don't know. I don't know what they do. Sorry. So yeah, thank you for joining us today.
yeah. So we'll see you next time.
Bye from KFAM.